Hello everyone, welcome back to Old Bluff Sawmill. I thought I'd take the time today and talk a little bit about our takeoff conveyor. I had a viewer that wanted to see it in action, so I thought I'd just do a short video on it, talk about it, and I've also added a little bit extra. I had a lot of interest in the laser upgrade that I had done, so I came up with a little modification in that regard for checking the calibration of it, make sure it's still set to the right dimensions off the bed rail and level all the way across the sawmill. So bear with us and we'll get going. So what I've done with the laser on my sawmill is I've set up a way that I can calibrate it to make sure that it's level across and down the length of the sawmill. So what I've done, I've set the sawmill head up to 12 inches off the table, which is normally where you would calibrate if you have to recalibrate the head. So at that point, all I have to do is turn the laser on and then look down the length of the sawmill, and maybe you can see down there. I'm going to go down there as well in a second. So here at the far end of the sawmill, this corner post, I have put one of the little reflective stickers on this metal post that I spoke about in the earlier video on my laser upgrade. I put one there. I've also got one here on this post. Then I also came to this post all the way across the door and put another one. Now, I don't think you can see these illuminate in the video, but I can see them very well. This one is a little dim. I think it needs to be turned back towards me. But this is giving me a way to check the laser real quick and easy. I just turn it on and just look at it. Now what I had to do prior to setting these reflectors up around the sawmill is I had to go around with a tape measure on all the bed rails and check the dimension. Remember, I've got it set on 12 inches. Hopefully you can see the laser light there at 12 inches. So what I was doing before was I'd just go around to about 5 or 6 points on the sawmill and check it to make sure that I could see the laser light. Well, after that last section of video, Brewtus ran through the sawmill after something, hit the camera, knocked it over, and got it all set back up, but I didn't realize it until after all the other video was done. It had the audio off, so I'm going to do the best I can for the rest of the video to replace the audio for what video I had shot. But anyway, we'll see how this does and go from there. So you can see what I've got here. I've got a 30-inch wide belted conveyor that I had bought from a surplus company. I do a lot of shopping with surplus companies. They buy out auctions and plant closings, different things, and they get good deals, so you can usually find a pretty good deal looking through what they've got. But it's got a rough top belt on it, a carboxylated belt, and it really grabs the material and pulls it on through. A flitch gets on it about 2 feet and it'll tend to grab it and just pull it on through. You can see I've got this electric motor on here. It's a 2 horsepower hooked up to the gear reducer. And I've got this conveyor set at 220 feet per minute. The sawmill is drawing back at roughly 200 feet per minute, so I didn't want this conveyor slowing down the flitches as they come off the sawmill. So I sped it up another 10% to try and take care of that matter. Now, on the ejection conveyor outside, there's no electrical parts on this. It's all hydraulic. You can see the hydraulic power unit over in the corner there. It works real good. It has a 2-direction solenoid on it, so it's either up or down. And I've got a limit switch under that ejection conveyor that when the conveyor goes through its cycle and comes back down, it shuts the power pack off there in the corner. Now you can see that when the flitches are slide off of this ejection conveyor, they'll just land on the forks that I've got set up over here, and at the end of the day, or whenever it just gets too many flitches piled up, I'll hook to that and just carry them off to the burn pile. Now here you can see I've got a brake set up on the end of this ejection conveyor. It just has a spring pulling it up, so when the flitches hit that, it slows them down and keeps them from running off the end of this conveyor. Now you can see how this ejection conveyor works. Once I hit the eject button on the control panel, it'll lift up, go through a timed cycle so that it lifts up to about 35 degrees. Everything, the flitches, whatever's on it, will slide off onto the forks, and then it will time out, drop back down, and hit the limit switch and stop the cycle. Now all this conveyor is set up so that it just unplugs. The hydraulics are quick disconnect, but I can pick this ejection conveyor up from the center of the forks, bring it inside the building, and I also have connection points on this belted conveyor that I slide a cross member down in there, and it locks with the pins, and I can pick it up from the end, move it inside the building, and have it all out of the way in just a few minutes. And I tell you, a good dog's hard to beat. Old Brewtus, he's my company and companion here at the sawmill. This log that I'm loading on the mill, I plan on getting 24 2x4s out of. The customer brought up to me. Talking about getting it set on the sawmill, I've heard different people how they saw for grade. What I do, I think, is a little bit different. I position the log so that I cut the worst of it off first. So I'll take the very worst section of it, turn it up, and cut it, and then flip it 180 degrees and cut it again. What that does is obviously going to throw the worst of the knots out on the ends of the board, but by doing that, I know what I'm going to need out of this log. So that 3-out 2x4s, that'll be 12 1/4. So I'll go on, once I flip it that second time there, I'll cut that 12 1/4, and so that part of it's done. Then I'll rotate the log, cut one face, flip it again, cut the next face, and at that point I'm ready to start slicing the log. So I've already got it in auto down, set for 2 inches at that point, so that way I don't have to rotate the log again. By starting with the worst side first, that's what you wind up with, is the face side, so you can just start cutting. So it saves a little bit of, well, it saves one turning of the log anyway. Now I apologize for the glare on this end of the sawmill here. I should have closed that door there. I went ahead and put my camera up on a shelf so Brewtus wouldn't run across it anymore. But I had viewers want to see the takeoff conveyor, how it works, so I've got it set up. You see now I'm cutting the flitch, pulling it back. It'll come back to that belted conveyor, and it'll just take it right on out the door. I don't know how well you'll be able to see the ejection conveyor lifted up, but at that point, once it gets out, it just ejects it onto the forks there. So at the end of the day, I just pick everything up, or whenever it needs to be cleaned out, I pick all that up and put it on the burn pile. So now I'm rotating this log, and I'm going to cut it to that 12 1/4 dimension. I've made that first cut, So I know what I'm going to need finished dimensions side to side, so I'll go ahead and do that, come back and rotate the log to cut the face sides. And once I have done that, finish those, I can go on and start slicing it. And Brewtus got to have a little bit of attention from time to time. I don't mind. He'll follow me around. We'll walk around the pasture in the evenings, and he'll follow me around with his head just like that between my legs. He'll walk for 300 feet before he'll quit. So here the ejection conveyor is raising up. You can see that flitch falling onto the forks there. And there again, I apologize for the glare that's in the video. Got to do a little bit better with my cameras. I've got that in mind, so I'm working on it. You know, for me, having this takeoff conveyor has really made it a lot easier for me. I don't have to handle the flitches at all, and I leave all my finished lumber sitting on the sawmill, so it just takes a lot of the labor intense work out of it. It makes it more enjoyable for me. All these modifications that I've done, some big, some small, but they all kind of fit together, making it easier overall for what you're accomplishing for the day. My wife even thinks I'm not working near as hard anymore. I come to the house, I'm not near as dirty, but you know, I've done it all with it. I've worked out off-site, out in my yard cutting, seen and done a little bit of all of it. I'm just kind of a shade tree grease monkey, I guess you could say, but once in a while you get things right, so it's good to stick with it. You can see the ejection conveyor coming up, and that flitch sliding off there scared Brewtus. He's got nerves of steel though. You know, you see some sawmill setups, they've got edgers set up, line with what they're doing, but you know, I just chose to stay simple as a one-man operation. You know, with an edger, you've got extra expense, floor space, extra people, and you can run an edger with one person, but it's a little more efficient if you've got two, especially if you've got a lot of lumber to run through it. But you know, me, I just chose to set myself up in a nice building in a good way to just make it easy on myself. Being older, that it just doesn't take as much out of you in the course of the day. And I really enjoy doing it. I enjoy working with wood. I always have. I've done it most of my life. And I always wanted a sawmill, just never had the opportunity to purchase one. You can see I'm ejecting the next flitch there. Coming back, I'm already cutting. And that's the beauty of the whole thing. Once that flitch gets back there, I just push the eject button and everything just happens back behind me. So I'm on my way to making the next cut there. I didn't time all of this. I don't know. It really doesn't matter to me, but you know, I know it's fairly efficient anyway. Nothing to compete with a big sawmill or one-man show. I think it's done pretty good. So now I'm starting to just slice the finished 2x4s, cutting the 2-inch way now. So I'll be getting finished boards off this stack. Now this log's a little bit too tall to pass through the throat of my sawmill, so I'll have to take several boards off just to finish making the cuts. You'll see that in a few minutes. But what I do at that point, I'll take those few off, finish my cuts, put those back on, and put a strap around the end towards the operator side. Then you'll see me raise the roller toe boards, and I'll push the whole log, well, the whole bundle of finished lumber, I'll push it towards the operator end, just so that there is more finished lumber back behind the clamp, hydraulic clamp. So at that point, what I'll do is take the clamp, go under the stack, and swing the end out that is towards the end of the sawmill. That way I can take that full stack then, grab it with the skid steer, take it out to the customer's trailer, which is waiting right outside my front door. You may can see it out there. I know the glare is a little bit bad. I'll then take that full stack, 24 2x4s, right out of the building in one fell swoop. And I'm coming in and rolling another log up from the deck. As I had mentioned, I had several viewers that wanted to see how the takeoff conveyor worked, wanted to see me make a little sawdust and ride the seat there for a while. And I really appreciate all the viewers, their comments, questions, because that's what really brings it all together for me. Is having actual people that are concerned with what I'm doing to consider for what they've got going on. Maybe will help them in some way. You can see I'm off stacking several of the 2x4s now to get enough clearance under the throat to pass through and make the last cuts to finish this stack. I dropped one off the back there, so I had to go around and wrestle with it a little bit, but I got him. I have got several production videos already recorded, and I'm going to be doing some more. I've got some real big pecan trees that got through the Nature Conservancy here where I live in Rome. Real nice trees. I probably got 25 or so big crotch logs from them, so I'm going to be cutting into some of those. You don't see a lot of pecan people cutting up. It's real pretty wood. I really like it. Pecan, hickory are probably two of my favorite woods, but that's going to be coming up in one of the next videos. I've got some other modifications that I'm thinking about. A couple of things that I think really help the sawmill, but you know, I'll have to go through the R&D process and get things kind of sorted out before I start on that. But I'll be sure to make videos on it as I do. But we're going to be really focused on actual production for a while after this video. This is probably the last one I'm going to do on modifications for a little while. But we got more in the works. I'm also going to be cutting up some pine trees for logs to build mine and my wife's retirement home. That's the main reason that I bought this sawmill, was to build our log cabin back in the woods. This particular piece of property we've got a lot of standing dead and a lot of good pine trees on it, so I'm going to work on getting some of those down this spring probably and get cutting those so they can sit around and dry for a while before I get started on that. I'm really looking forward to that. I've built a lot of houses, but never a log home that I've done myself. Something I've always thought about. So here I'm getting things stacked up, and you'll see me get a strap put around the far side so that I can swing the whole bundle out to grab with the skid steer. You know, it takes a few minutes to go get the strap, put it around the bundle, but it sure does beat handling all these individual 2x4s. It just makes it easier for me. And I don't know, I think it's even quicker for a one-man deal that you can just grab everything and take it out the door in one package. Because you know, I can set it on the man's trailer, or I've got rails down on the ground outside too that I stack lumber on for customers, just whatever the situation calls for. But by taking the whole stack out, it just makes it a lot easier. And what I'm doing here, I've raised those toe boards, so I'm sliding it forward of the clamp on the sawmill. So now I'll swing it out so that this end towards the end of the sawmill, so you had it's sticking out, and the other end stays in. Now I can grab it with the skid steer and take the whole bundle out. I want to take the time to thank all my viewers for watching, all subscribers, people that asked questions, had other comments. You know, that's just what brings it all together for me. If you like our videos, hit the like button. If you'd like to subscribe, go ahead and do that. We need all we can get. We're just getting started. But by all means, hit that notification bell, because I really don't know when a next video might be coming out, but that way you'll be notified of it. So until the next video comes out, you guys take care of yourself and be safe. You can see the customer's trailer outside the door is where I'm taking that bundle. Thanks again. Y'all come back now, you hear?